Hey, if you are a leader who always seems to be touching things up, if you are consistently staying up late, double checking everything that your team has already finished, or if you're just the kind of leader who is getting frustrated because you're not seeing the same kind of delivery from your team as you did when you were the one doing the work yourself, then there are likely four different shifts that you need to make to go from doer to leader. And I'm not sure if you can see everything written here behind me. If you can't, that's okay. Don't jot it down. You can get your free guide that outlines all four of the shifts that you need to make in much prettier fashion at this link down below. If you want to click that link, you can get your free guide to go from doer to leader with four simple shifts. And today in the video, I want to walk you through one of those shifts in particular. And that shift is about vision. All right. So, as the doer, you are the person who executes the vision, right? So, now in your role as it sits today, what do you see as your role around the vision? Do you still carry it out? Are you so far down the line that you're not even sure how it impacts you and your team? Or are you the person who sets the vision for those who look to you? Because the part that most leaders miss is that you are leading, you become the visionary no matter what your title is. So you're never too far away from it to actually carry it out. And in reality, you are never just executing the vision yourself. You translate it, you make it real for the people around you, and you make it visible to yourself and to others. And if your team can't see it, if they're not getting that visibility on the vision from you, then they cannot carry it out. So, what does it mean to set the vision? When we think of vision, we often think about the leader at the very top having this lofty idea of the future and then everyone else just carrying it out, right? You might think of the CEO saying, "We're going to be a $1 billion company in the next 5 years." Or maybe you think of the executive director of some nonprofit saying, "We're going to have a negative carbon footprint by 2035." It's this overarching goal that is way off in the future. And the vision might sound amazing when you first hear it. And then as you let it sit with you for a little bit, as you let that $1 billion vision set in, it becomes a little overwhelming because it's a kind of vision that you just can't really sink your teeth into. And don't get me wrong, that is one version of vision, but there's so much more to it than that. Because vision, at its core, just means the ability to see how something could develop. So you don't just see the raw ingredients or the cogs in the machine. With vision, you actually see the potential of what those things could become. And that means when you see maybe flour and water sitting on your counter, and then you imagine how you and your spouse could have this a beautiful date night with wine and dipping oil for your fresh bread, you are having a vision. Or when you see your daughter and she does her first unassisted back handspring, and then you can just confidently see her finishing out her beam routine at state, that's you having a vision. And when you manage the team that delivers on the promise that sales made to bring your company to its first $1 billion year, there you need to have a vision as well. But why? Why isn't the CEO's vision enough? It's because it isn't specific enough, right? It needs to be specific for other people to see it. It is that specificity that allows them to see exactly where you're taking them. And it's that specificity that is required to get them there. So, just for sake of example, let's go back to this marriage example that we were going with in the beginning. So, when you got married, odds are you said in your vows some version of "till death do us part." And that's lovely, right? That's that's a broad vision for marriage. It's seeing marriage as this lifelong commitment, right? And if it's lifelong, why do so many people end up in divorces? If there are so many people who stood up at the altar and said, till death do us part, why don't they commit to that vision? It's because they didn't have a specific vision for their own marriage. They knew the generic one. They maybe knew that the vision for marriage is a contract for life. They maybe knew of marriage in the eyes of the church, but not in their eyes specifically. And when you start to envision your marriage, when you slow down enough to really think about the connection that you want to have with your spouse, then you maybe have this idea of connecting over the really simple things in life. It's not about vacations across the globe. It's not about, even going out for a date night once a week. Maybe it's the two of you connecting and talking over simple things like bread and wine that solidify your vision of marriage for you. You even start to set that example then of what a vision of a marriage could look like for your children. So that flour and water, they aren't just those pantry staples anymore, right? They are the building blocks that create the vision for the type of relationship that you want to have. Because visions, they can't be vague. Visions have to be vivid. And this is the same at work, right? Your team that's creating or auditing the delivery processes, they can hear billion-dollar company in 5 years, but that isn't vivid for them. They're looking at swim lanes and flow charts and completion reports all day. They aren't thinking about what a billion-dollar company could mean. What they need is your vision for where they're going. They need your vision for how the team fits into that bigger whole. What makes their audit of the SOPs critical to that billion-dollar goal? It's the same as how that flower creates the vision for success in your marriage, right? Because without that vivid vision, they're just going to drop off. Maybe they don't quit, right? Maybe they don't get divorced from the company. Maybe they don't find another job, though they could. Maybe they stay and they just start phoning things in. Maybe that report analysis just isn't as enticing as it once was. Maybe that review of those SOPs is just not as critical as they once thought it would be. I mean, how much innovation can actually happen within a flow chart, right? That is what you are working against. That is the type of divorce that you are trying to eliminate in your organization. And you do that by setting the North Star, by setting that vision that is specific for them. Because your vision, it just can't be vague. Your vision has to be vivid. If it's not vivid, it's optional. And when the work feels optional, people disengage. They stop thinking. They stop improving. They start checking the boxes instead of building something. And in OKR goal setting, we call that big vision, that CEO set vision, the North Star. And we see them fail so often. We see companies not getting to that billion-dollar goal or never seeing that negative carbon footprint. Not because the strategy was wrong, not because the goal was too big, but because no one ever translated it into something that people could see, something that they could tangibly hold and own and move towards. And that is where leadership either happens or it doesn't. And when you're the doer, you don't have the capacity to open up the vision to everyone else and to make it vivid and clear for them. And that is when your team disengages. You think that you are stepping in, you are rolling up your sleeves, you are getting in it with them, and that is going to bond them to you. But if they are not bonded to the vision, there's nothing pushing them forward. And if your team is disengaged, if they're inconsistent, if they are producing work that you have to redo, it's not because they don't care. It's because they can't see what you see. Your job isn't to give them more instructions, and it isn't to go and do with them. It's to give them a clearer picture. Because when people can see it, they don't just complete the work, they carry that vision forward for them and for everyone that they lead and influence too. All right. I hope that this was helpful for you. I hope that understanding why setting the vision at every stage of leadership is absolutely critical. If you want to know what the other 3 shifts are that you need to make to go from doer to leader, then I would encourage you to click that link below and get your free guide that will walk you through each and every one. All right.